So welcome to another match preview here on Stones TV and on the Maidstone United podcast. This time we look ahead to the latest return league fixture with the Stones hosting yet another of their top 7 rivals. This time it's the visit of Torquay United. Before we look ahead to Torquay, we must look back at the last 2 games in the week just gone. The blustery draw at Chelmsford on Monday. But first to that battling defeat here against Worthing, Nigel.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it, really? I mean, we opened the scoring really early on, second, third minute of the game, and lovely goal there by Timmy and getting that header. But we just sat back on it, didn't we? And we sort of invited that pressure from Worthing, and you can't do that against any team, really, but to a team like Worthing that are so comfortable on the ball and love playing it around, It was frustrating that we let them back into the game, and it was from a mistake of our own, although it's one of those that you sort of forgive Timmy for, because it was a great cross, wasn't it, by Cavalier to get that ball in there, and then Mo Fowl picked up his obligatory goal, and right in front of the Genko end as well there, and
well received.
Yeah, but he's a nice enough guy, and Mel, you don't wish him any ill harm. He's there to do a job for his team, and he done the job and put the ball in the net. Looking at it, we could have probably done a little bit better with it. It was one of those that Alexis was beating at his near post, wasn't he? But that's the way the game goes. Then, but then the second half, it was really good, probably the best half of football that we've played this season. It was really good, especially at home, and we created chances and. It was just one of those games. I mean, for me, the thing that I picked up on, I think it was about the 83rd minute when Aaron Blair had that shot, that turn and volley, and he shot it,
right near the end,
hit the post, and then as it come back out, he kind of hit the diving keeper on the back of the head and went out for a corner. And you sort of things like that, you sort of think that's not going to be our day, isn't it? And
Wigan Mofar had one like that against Chippenham in the previous week, and it went in off the keeper.
Exactly, and we had the momentum with us, and even Chris Agatar, their manager, said in his post-match interview, it was a proper back-to-the-wall performance in that second half. And it's one of those games, if it had been a draw, it would have felt like a loss for Worthing, and it would have felt like a win for Maidstone. But it wouldn't have been unjust for either team, because each team sort of showed, Worthing showed those battling qualities, and Maidstone, that attacking prowess that has been lacking at times this season. But both managers can take things out of it, and so it proved. We had another battling performance. We took that into Monday night, and the weather conditions were horrendous, and we didn't get the winner, but against 10 men for 50 minutes. But we got a point, and Worthing then carried that form into their game against Bournemouth and got the win on Tuesday night. So again, it's like we've been saying, this title race is going to come down to sort of momentum and little periods in the calendar where you're playing the top teams around you, and we said it as well on the hot take on Monday night at Chelmsford. You take that result in isolation, it's a good point. And you compare that as well, like what Bournemouth would have done. The 2 games they've played, they've got no points from 6 against teams that are in there battling with them. And as George said, we've just got to take each game as it comes, try not to look ahead too much, and just sort of assess the squad at the time of when the games come around, manage our players, and we're looking at it as like with Sam Corn, we're managing that. So it's about that, sort of managing your players and looking to sort of like get them performing in these big games.
So as we were saying there, Nigel, George post-match was saying obviously it stopped the rot. After losing 2 Worthing, Stones this season, every time they've lost a game, they've come back and got a positive result, and that happened again, obviously, with the Chelmsford draw, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we've had our little. We've said it before. We've had our little blip at the beginning of the season, so it's important that when we do lose these games, however many positives you can take out of the game against Worthing, you do bounce back and you do get points on the ball, whether that be 1 point or all 3 points. You've just got to take care of your own sort of. Your momentum, and you can't be worrying about other teams. There's going to be lots of little battles going on all over the league, in this run in there. So it's about us taking care of our momentum, managing our squad, and just keep those points ticking over and see where it takes us.
Well, in terms of where it could take us, couple of little stats after the Worthing game that I picked out. It's only the third game this season where the Stones have taken the lead and lost, and they've taken the lead on 23 occasions out of the 28, 29 they've played in the league, so a very rare occurrence to lose from being ahead. And we've dropped 14 points from those winning positions. 12 of those have now been at home, so only 2 points dropped on the road from a position like that. So as we've been saying in other pods and previews recently, Nigel, it's the away form potentially, as good as it has been at home for the most part since the C word here, could be that away form that drags us over the line in come April or May.
Yeah, exactly that.
So a quick shout out to the away fans at the Chelmsford game. You can make it out around halfway through the hot take. We presume they were singing our praises post-match. Thank you. Sorry we couldn't reply properly, as we were obviously both busy doing what you love us doing, and frankly couldn't hear you anyway because of our talking and our headsets. But thanks again for that, and also for all the positive feedback that we've all had throughout this season from everyone else, be it online or in person, at games or at the shops. Usual address for our fan mail. So a couple of players who have featured in the last week for the Stones are the new loan signings, Bailyn Johnson and Ricardo German. Nigel, how do you feel they've started in those games so far?
Yeah, they both started against Chelmsford, didn't they? And they came on against Worthing, and German, he knows where the back of the net is, and I think he's one of these strikers that if he hits a purple patch, he's like scored 2 or 3 games, and certainly looking back on his goals early season, he's sort of 2 or 3 games consecutively where he scored, and then he's not sort of involved in the goal scoring, but he's certainly involved in the game. You can see what he brings to the team, isn't he? You know, he started at Chelmsford on Monday evening, and you know he's back to goal play is very good. You know, he's very strong, got good body upper strength, but then he's also got a turn of speed. You know, there was one time there when he chased the ball over the top down and managed to stop it going out for a corner. Unfortunately, he couldn't get across to bring a Stones player into play, but yeah, you can see what he brings into the team, and then Johnson as well. You know, he's come in, he's got that youthful side to him. He's got a little bit of pace about him. He's got a little bit of skill. I mean, his first touch Daniel on Saturday, you know, down in front of the dugout, he nutmegged that player at speed and took the ball past him. But again, like George has said, you know, once these players learn to adapt and get involved in training and knowing what our set piece routines are and you know and our patterns of play, you should see them coming more to the fore. And let's not forget, you know, the players we've had coming on loan previously this season in Papadopoulos and Benson, you know, they took a while to adjust and perform, and you know, once they get up to speed, I'm sure they'll be fine and they'll contribute us in the running.
So to Saturday's opponents, Torquay, and they've signed just 1 or 2 players since we last met in November. Attacking fullback Jordan Thomas signed on loan 3 days after our 1-1 draw, signing from Yeovil after impressing at Salisbury on loan earlier this season. Brad Ash signed a loan deal with National League South rivals Bath City until the end of this season. Jack Wood signed from Southend just before Christmas on an initial 28-day loan. Will Jenkins extended his loan from Plymouth a week before Christmas until the end of the 24-25 season. Dylan Morgan signed an 18-month deal last month after signing from Yeovil, whom he helped gain promotion last season. He moved after impressing on loan at Weston-super-Mare earlier this season. Finn Tonks, my Roy of the Rovers hero, and Kiki Jeffers returned to their parent clubs after the conclusions of their loans at the start of this month, and Jayden Crosby's loan at Gloucester was extended for the remainder of this season. Ben Seymour was loaned out to AFC Tottenham for the rest of this season, having had an earlier loan spell at Bath. Keeper Matt Wanacott currently on loan at Plymouth Parkway. Ollie Tomlinson was initially on loan for a month and then the season, but has now been signed permanently by Bath City. Forward Emmanuel Elisanmi signed on loan for an initial 1-month period from Championship side Derby County. And most recently, at time of recording, Matt Jay signed on a free after leaving Colchester United. He signed on a 2.5-year deal. Nuts. So Nigel, Torquay have certainly splashed their new owner cash and have bought players not just for this season, but for next season and beyond. So when they clearly expect to be back in the National League.
They're looking at players that are local to them as well. I mean, you look through there as well, and there's a couple of Yeovil players. Jordan Young came in just before we played them down at Playmore in November, didn't he? So he was another one that was instrumental in Yeovil's championship winning season last year, and they've added to that since our game there. And Matt Jay, he's a local lad, come back home from sort of Colchester, and he only signed last week. But you'd imagine, same as we were saying for our loanees that have come in, once they integrate into that team, they're going to be very valuable players going forward for them.
So the key men so far this season: James Heyman played every minute and has 9 clean sheets in his 28 games so far. Sam Dreyer has also played in every game so far this season, and he's helped Heyman and their defence to those 9 clean sheets. They have the joint second best defence in the league, only behind the Stones, who now have the best defence in the division, behind them by 1 goal. Dan Hayfield has missed only 1 game so far this season. Both of his goals have come in wins for the Gulls. And Cody Cook is into double figures in the league for a 4th season running. His goals have secured the Gulls 13 points. Only Aaron Blair has earned more for the Stones this season. So Nigel, these men have contributed so much to Torquay's rise this season, but nearly everyone has made a contribution so far for them.
You talk about Cody Cook there, he's a player for this level. He's very much a talisman for them, and gets some big points, and is a game changer for them. So he's going to be important. I think he's maybe a little bit injured. I think he had to picked up an injury recently, so whether he'll be fit or not for the game on Saturday, I imagine that Torquay will be keeping that one close to the test, because a player like that, if he can play some involvement, even if it's off the bench, he's going to be key for him, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And
also another one that sort of stands out as well is Dreyer. I mean, you often see his name in the team of the week for the National League, and he's particularly impressive in that game we played down there in November, and that adds at that end of the picture as well. You say about their defensive record. It's both elements of the game that you need to have. It's all right, we're scoring loads of goals, but if you're not keeping them out at the other end, you're not going to win many games, are you? So he's certainly been a key factor in them being in the top echelons of the table for most of the season.
So the form of the Gulls since last we played each other: their FA Cup journey ended in a 3-0 loss at Bishop's Cleeve, the earliest exit in Torquay's history. They then lost 5-1 at Worthing in the FA Trophy 4th round, mostly due to that Mo File 26-minute hat-trick. And so to the 11 league games that they have played since we last met. Their previous league defeat was at Hornchurch at the end of October, before we played, but that's before they lost last weekend at home to Hampton and Richmond. So they've won 6, drawn 4, that 1 defeat with Hampton and Richmond. They were then afforded a rest in midweek as their Chippenham away trip was called off due to the weather, like half the league was on Tuesday night. So like us, Nigel, they've suffered very few defeats in the league this season and had become a winning machine. They were very hard to beat, as we found out back in November, but their very recent form has dipped at possibly the right time from a Stones perspective, maybe?
It's relevant, and we look at our own form as well, dipping in that same period, but normally, and it's been the case since when we first played Torquay in 1989 back in the old Division 4 days. Every game that Maidstone and Torquay play, there's normally something on it. Even when we got relegated at the National League South, they won that game in early January or late January there, didn't they? And that was one of the only wins that they have got. They've only had 2 wins against Maidstone in the whole of that time.
That's right, yeah.
And it was a crucial game because at that time, neither team was sort of bottom of the league. We just both dropped into the relegation zone. And they made a good fist of getting out of it, but they just fell short at the end of that season and got relegated with us. But you look back over the course of time. Who remembers that Josh Hare goal when we was on that long run in our National League days, and we got that sort of a little bit of momentum towards the end of the season to just keep us up that season. Our first season back in the National League as well, when that 3-2 game down at Playmore, and we got both wins that season. We played in the FA Cup first round here a few years ago, when Dan Wishart got the only goal, when they were flying high in the National League at the time. And
George Elokobi's, John Smith's, Peter Kay, Avitt tackle in there as well.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, we got the win there, and then went on to play Blackpool, didn't we, in the second round that season? And you know, even going back into the Football League days, you know, when we was in the Football League, Torquay got promotion in the season. We beat them in the FA Cup that year, and you know, it's just littered with, you know, we've got a record. You know, it's worth reiterating. Maybe, you know, not for the right reasons, but we have got 12 wins against them, 3 draws, and only 2 defeats.
And 3 of those obviously came last season as well, didn't they? In FA Cup and the double in the league.
Yeah, exactly that. And you know, it's sort of like, why I say it maybe not worth reiterating is because you can't. Part of me sort of thinks, you know, that run's got to come to an end sometime. Hopefully, it's not this week, but you know, it is really uncanny how we've got, you know, through the ages. It's not just, you know, recently. It's through the ages we've got this great record against Torquay. You know, they're not local rivals in such. It's not a derby game, but there is a sort of rivalry there because we do seem to, you know, come up against them a lot. You know, and we've got the better of that. So hopefully that can continue going into this weekend.
And considering we were 8 points behind Torquay and 12 off of the top spot in mid-November after we last met, being only 3 points off the top at time of recording, level with Torquay, really shows how good the run before recent results for both sides has been. Also shows that others have been dipping recently too, and that pressure is showing on everyone in this division, frankly, isn't it?
Exactly that, yeah, exactly.
So if you can't remember all of the players from the previous meeting, then why not head back to our previous preview video and podcast from earlier in the season for more information on Saturday's opponents. The links to the video and podcast are both in the description below. So if you can't make it to the game on Saturday, be sure to tune in to myself and Nigel from 2:40 on Stones Live. You'll see us on the hot take and hear us on the highlights once they go online. The Stones have a superior record in the historical head-to-head with the goals, as we've just been discussing mere moments ago. And if they maintain that record on Saturday, they'll be back near the top of the top once more in that congested title and promotion race. My thanks to you lot out there, as always, for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for the Maidstone United podcast. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the away league game at Slough Town. Also watch out for our title race special as well. That's been a good one to film. Hopefully you'll enjoy that one, boys and girls. And as always,
come on, you Stones!